Tragedy on I-285. A small plane crashed, killing 4 family members.
It was like a bomb being dropped or something.
We're hearing from drivers who were just feet away from the crash.
I guess it was just God telling me to just slam on brakes.
When I looked to my right, that plane was maybe 10 feet in front of me.
We have new information since 4 about the victims, including an interview with one victim's co-worker.
I feel like I've lost someone that I won't have a chance to know now.
And up-to-the-minute information on the impact on traffic.
Oh, it was terrible. Absolutely terrible.
Live, local, late breaking. This is Channel 2 Action News at 5 p.m. Coverage you can count on.
Our team has been bringing you continuous updates on Facebook, Twitter, WSB TV apps, and of course, here on Channel 2. Good afternoon. I'm Justin Farmer.
I'm Jovita Moore. Right now, federal investigators are trying to figure out what caused the small engine plane to crash on I-285 in DeKalb County, killing all 4 people on board.
Now, no drivers going down the interstate were hurt, but the accident left the interstate like this, gridlock for hours.
We've learned new information since 4 o'clock about the victims, a father and his 2 sons, and a fiancé of one of the men.
We have a team of reporters covering every angle of this still developing story. And we begin our live Team 2 coverage with Richard Elliott near the crash scene. Richard.
Yeah, the traffic on 285 is pretty much back to normal. Here's what witnesses said they saw. Plane came from this direction, and it got lower and lower over the Cloverleaf 285 leading to PIB, and it looked like, they said, the pilot tried to pull up the nose of the plane but wasn't able to and crashed right there. This is cell phone video taken seconds after the Piper PA-32 slammed into the concrete median on 285, narrowly missing cars in both directions. A thick plume of black smoke, along with burning aviation fuel, filled the skies over the interstate. Bob McGee was getting onto 285 when he saw the plane fly right over his head.
Wow, this plane is low. And as I'm looking at the plane is trying to pull up, and then all of a sudden, boom!
This is more cell phone video as passing drivers jumped out of their cars and trucks to see if there was anything they could do. Doraville and Chamblee police tried to help too, but the flames were too intense. Emergency crews confirmed the crash killed Greg Bird and his 2 sons, Philip and Christopher, along with Christopher's fiancée, Jackie Kulzer.
As soon as it hit, it bursted into flames. There wasn't anything you could do.
Blake Green was driving his truck on 285 and slammed on his brakes to avoid hitting the plane as it crashed.
And then all of a sudden he banged real hard and hit the median and flew right over the truck, and it was bad.
Now the NTSB is on the scene trying to determine what happened. They removed the wreckage to their facility in Griffin while they'll reconstruct it and hopefully find some answers.
It's not going to be difficult. Of course, the airplane is somewhat complex, but it shouldn't be a problem. Once it gets to Griffin, we'll be able to reconstruct it and figure out what happened.
And the NTSB tells me it should take about 2 weeks to reconstruct that plane at its facility, but they say it could take anywhere from 6 months to a year to make a final determination about what happened. We're live in DeKalb County. Richard Elliott, Channel 2 Action News.
More on the 4 people who lost their lives in this tragedy. Greg Bird and 2 of his sons, Philip and Christopher. Jackie Kulzer was also a passenger. She was engaged to Christopher. They were traveling to Oxford, Mississippi to watch surviving brother Robert graduate from Ole Miss.
And we talked to a co-worker of Christopher Bird who worked as a real estate agent at a small firm in Midtown Atlanta. Here are pictures of Christopher and Jackie, the fiancée, and they were in the process of planning that wedding. Nicholas Bowman told us that he took Christopher's on-call duties this weekend because he knew how excited Christopher was for that trip to Ole Miss to watch his brother graduate.
They had this trip planned, so I swapped with him to be able to make the trip, and that way he wouldn't have to be bothered with work.
Channel 2's Lori Geary talked to Nicholas Bowman, and you'll hear more of what he has to say about his co-worker coming up on Channel 2 Action News at 6.
Now, during our hours of continuous coverage today, we brought you a live interview with a truck driver who had the closest call with that crashing plane. Take a look. You can see just how close his truck was to where the plane hit the interstate. Channel 2's Taisha Fernandez continues our live Team 2 coverage with his moving account of some terrifying moments. Taisha.
Gerald Smith was in shock when I approached him. He was still sitting in his tractor trailer, which was about 15 feet from the crash site. And when he was talking to police, he just really didn't even know what to say. I was glad that he was able to talk to us. According to police, his vehicle was the only vehicle hit by this plane as it was going down.
I seen that plane coming from my right.
Gerald Smith was driving this tractor trailer eastbound on 285 when he noticed a small plane flying lower than usual.
I seen a plane approaching me at a fast rate of speed, but it was flying very low. It wasn't higher than the top of my truck.
It was 10 a.m., still rush hour in DeKalb County. Smith said he tried to avoid hitting the single-engine plane.
I guess it was just God telling me to just slam on brakes to see will it go on in front of me. But by the time I did hit the brakes, I heard an impact hit the front of my truck. And not knowing what to expect, I looked at the front of my truck, and the only thing I seen was the mirror laying down, and I looked back to my left once I stopped the truck, and that plane was up against the wall burning.
Smith told me he wasn't sure if he was going to survive this.
If I would have stayed on the gas, I would have met it head on, and it probably would have killed me. My heart goes out to their family. 'Cause this a day, just a normal work day for me.
A day you'll never forget.
A day I'll never forget.
After investigators took their statements from Smith, I saw Dorville police walk him over to a police car. I saw them pat him down and then put him into the back of the police car. I called police to find out why they did that. They told me that he had a warrant out of Douglas County for a a warrant for a suspended license hearing, and they didn't arrest him today. They just gave him a traffic citation for another hearing. We're live on the side of 285 in DeKalb County. Taisha Fernandez, Channel 2 Action News.
One driver captured the flames seconds after the plane hit the interstate. He posted his video on Facebook.
What the A plane just crashed on the highway in front of us?
I got my GoPro.
Go get it. Go get it. Here, hold this. Hold this. I'm good now. Holy
Dramatic indeed, and what you hear in the background, take a listen. Emergency sirens already blaring on the way. As we told you during our live coverage today, 3 police officers saw the plane crash. They rushed over to the scene to try to help the passengers. The officers say it was simply too hot and too dangerous to get anywhere near the wreckage.
And after that crash, emergency workers spent more than 5 hours diverting traffic off of 285, trying to get around that accident and the investigation. News Chopper 2 gave us these live looks of the coverage and the backups. We even had police calling our newsroom to get advice from Channel 2's Jason Durden and News Chopper 2 on where they could divert traffic. Much of the traffic along I-285 went over to Georgia 400. Channel 2's Tom Regan spoke with some drivers who were irritated and shaken, Tom, and Tom continues our live Team 2 coverage.
Well, I'm at the Holcomb Bridge Road exit here on Georgia 400. Take a look behind me. This is amazing. Traffic moving at speed limit conditions or better. A pleasant surprise. Clearly, a lot of folks took the advice to leave work early on this beautiful Friday afternoon. We've been checking road conditions all around the north side, and certainly the folks who were most unlucky were those trapped along I-285.
Oh, this traffic is just extremely, it's terrible. It's terrible.
It's ridiculous.
How long have you been stuck in traffic?
About an hour.
Get another traffic unit right here.
Our camera gave freight drivers a chance to vent their frustrations over the traffic paralysis triggered by the freeway plane crash. Here you see the backups heading on I-285 East right before the Ashford-Dunwoody exit where police were diverting traffic. It's here that I caught up with truck driver David Brown.
It's really bad. It's backed up probably about 10, 15 miles.
How long have you been stuck in traffic?
Probably over an hour or two.
How bad is traffic?
Horrible. People don't know how to drive.
And it wasn't just the highways that were clogged. Take a look at the backups heading north on Roswell Road inside the perimeter.
I just can't wait to get on 400 and 285.
Of course, rush hour begins earlier on Friday afternoon than on other days of the week, but here it is just after 3 o'clock, and it's already absolute gridlock.
But we found some veteran truckers who knew how to take it in stride.
We having fun yet?
I also found a group along I-285 that were heading to graduation ceremonies at UGA, hoping that they made it there on time. Live in North Fulton County, Roswell, Tom Regan, Channel 2 Action News.
Channel 2's Jason Durden was the first over the scene in News Chopper 2, giving us 3 hours of live coverage of the crash and the impact on traffic. He joins us now over 285, where you can see the marks left behind on the highway. Jason?
That's right, Jovita. And traffic moving fine now here at the scene of the crash on 285 eastbound at Peachtree Industrial Boulevard. And actually, we've been checking out the traffic on the full length of this northern arc of 285 between I-85 and I-75. And for a Friday afternoon, it's doing just fine. There are no delays on 285 up on this part of town. I think it's a big combination of everybody was scared away from this earlier today. They went ahead and they planned alternate routes, and they're sticking with those, or some people probably even left work early so they wouldn't even have to deal with it this afternoon. So other parts of town are dealing with a normal Friday afternoon drive, but up here on the northern side of the perimeter, it's doing pretty well. We are live over to Cobb County and News Chopper 2. Jason Durden, Channel 2 Action News.
Of course, it wasn't that way a few hours ago as we brought you extensive coverage of the intense backups caused by the plane crash. Those lanes open again. We just showed you that. Let's check in with Mark Aram, though, in the traffic center to see if there are any more remaining trouble spots like Roswell Road was so backed up for a while.
It's been an amazing recovery, Justin. We had the inner loop of the perimeter, 285 eastbound, shut down for 5 hours right at exit 31 Peachtree Industrial Boulevard. But as we saw from Jason Durden, amazingly, the north side perimeter is lighter than normal now between Spaghetti Junction in DeKalb County and I-75 in Cobb County. So great news for all these surface streets around 285 in that Dunwoody area. No big backups there, but we are also following a Friday afternoon rush hour. So there are jams. The biggest one right now is heading home to the southern suburbs. 75 South jams out of Morrow through Stockbridge in spots all the way down toward McDonough. So that is really the traffic hotspot now. Live look at Traffic Tracker 2. Unbelievable Friday at 5:09 p.m. and traffic is delay-free on the north side perimeter at Peachtree Industrial Boulevard. Reporting live in the traffic center, Mark Aram, Channel 2 Action News.
You know, it's a real testament to people staying plugged in and paying attention to an event like that. Now, News Since 4, we have gotten some expert insight into what could have gone wrong in the seconds before that plane went down. Here's a picture of the aircraft involved. This is a Piper PA-32, commonly used for private transportation. And Channel 2's Matt Belanger continues our live Team 2 coverage in Douglas County. Matt, you just talked to a retired pilot who was once in a plane like that in a very similar situation.
And Justin, tonight we know the pilot in today's crash radioed and said he was having trouble climbing right after takeoff. And about an hour ago, I spoke with that retired commercial airline pilot who also flew small planes, who knows firsthand just how scary that can be.
If I were in that airplane, what would I do? What would be going through my mind?
Jerry Frost spent his career high in the sky as a commercial airline pilot, but he spent his morning watching our coverage of the small plane crash on I-285.
It's possible when he had no other alternative, he just, you know, his mindset was, I'm aiming for the interstate.
Frost said with a full tank of fuel, 4 passengers and baggage, the plane could have been overloaded with too much weight. Water or other contamination could have found its way into the fuel supply, causing an engine problem.
And of course, with a single engine, you're at the mercy of that engine.
Frost told me he once found himself in a small plane with engine trouble.
But I could not maintain altitude. So the first things, as pilots are trained, I'm looking, okay, where am I going to set it down?
Frost told me he was able to glide to a nearby airport. In this case, he does not believe the plane's engine fully stopped because he said the pilot would have likely phrased his radio transmissions differently. Federal investigators will ultimately be the ones to rule on a cause.
They will go back the complete history of that airplane, the engine, the pilot, his ratings, his training, and so forth. They'll look at things we can't even imagine, and of course that's their job.
Frost told me he feels terrible for the families of the individuals killed today. He said no amount of experience in the air can take away the pain when something like this happens. Live in Douglas County, Matt Belanger, Channel 2 Action News.
We have continuing coverage of today's deadly interstate plane crash. A family killed, traffic backed up for hours. How this crash impacted students trying to get home from 19 different schools.
Showers and a few rumbles of thunder now have popped up over parts of northeast Georgia. These are drifting to the southwest. I'll show you our impacts we can expect this evening straight ahead.
Sir, are you a stalker?
Only on Channel 2 Action News. A local man now under arrest accused of stalking a 16-year-old girl. What police say the teenager did to get proof the suspect was following her. Live next.